You got to sign in. Mel, you got to sign in.
Okay. So two separate ones.
They all came out to wish me farewell. Good. Yeah. All right, I'd call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Grantsville City Planning Commission. Today's date is Tuesday, December 16th, 7 p.m. This meeting is being held at Grantsville City Hall at 429 East Main Street. All members of the Planning Commission are present, and we have our alternate Chris Horrocks present as well. We'll go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and start with the public hearing. We'll go with the first one, the consideration of a proposed rezone for 587 East Main Street and a CD Commercial Development District zoning designation to RM15 Multiple Residential District zoning designation. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on that item? I'm not seeing anybody on Zoom. If you'd like to speak on Zoom, push the raise your hand button. No. All right, we'll close that public hearing. Move on to the next one. Consideration of a proposed rezone for 15 North Center Street and 9 North Center Street in the RM15 Multiple Residential District zoning designation to a CN Neighborhood Commercial District zoning designation. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on behalf of that?
I'm going to speak on that. I'm Neil Critchlow, neighbor across the street. I need to give you guys a history of how this is, what this is. Years ago, we changed the zoning from commercial to RM15 so they could put multiple apartment units on that piece of property. And now he would like to change it back to the commercial zoning that it was originally planned to. I just let you guys like to know the history of when that happened, probably 10 years ago that we changed that for him. So thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come forward, please state your name.
My name is Maria Whitworth, and I live on Center Street. And I'm really nervous. I've never done anything like this before. So I just going to read a little bit about, we made a very intentional choice to build on Center Street. We looked lots of different places around Grantsville, and there was lots of subdivisions going up at the time. But we wanted to be part of the center of the community and be a place where we'd be able to contribute to the community. And so we chose to build on the corner of Center and Clark by the elementary school. And we have kids that walk by every day. I have kids that stop by my house for snacks or a game of basketball. We already have a lot of traffic coming in. It's really hard to get onto Main Street right now. And we really would like to keep our neighborhood safe for the kids that walk. We have a lot of kids that walk down Center Street. We love our neighborhood, and everybody on our road chose to intentionally build or move there. And we are, we have a block party, we take care of each other. And we're all pretty intentional about taking care of our lots and our properties, and our families. We help each other. In my house, I have a poem when we chose to build here. I found this, and it's the house by the side of the road. And I would just like to read just a tiny bit of that for you. It says, "Let me live in the house by the side of the road, where the race of men go by, the men who are good and the men who are bad, and the men as good and bad as I. I would not sit in the scorner's seat or hurl the cynic's ban. Let me live in the house by the side of the road and be a friend of man. I see from my house by the side of the road, by the side of the highway of life, the men who press with the ardor of hope, the men who are faint with the strife. But I turn not away from the smiles nor the tears, both parts of an infinite plan. Let me live by the house, by the side of the road, and be a friend to man." And we just ask that we keep our road a place where families like us have intentionally built and continue to have homes, not businesses, so that we can keep what we have, what we've intentionally chose to build there on Center Street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come on up, just state your name, please.
Thank you. My name is Shane Connor. I'm an introvert. This is difficult. So my socializing is different from most. Service is my language. So I mow most of the yards and snowplow most of the drives on the street so I can interact with my neighbors. Just being here speaking in front of a small group is hard and traumatic for me, but this is important. While I'm a direct descendant of Lucas Johnson, who settled Clover Springs in Rush Valley, we've only lived in Tooele County for the last 25 years of my 53 years. I've lived in many neighborhoods due to my father's military service and mine, among other things. This is by far my favorite neighborhood. I can count on everyone in my neighbors, and I have at times. I've seen the Lawrences and the Whitworths walk across to the fire department, weed flower beds, and pick up garbage. I've seen the Hills mow and take care of other people's property. All these families have become parenting neighbors at large, ensuring the youth from all families in our neighborhood have a safe place. I've had the Crawfords make leak repairs on my roof, among other things, no charge, all while raising a young family. I've seen Kadeen, a retired woman, turn her property from a rundown rental to a beautiful, inviting home, including her physically getting down in the runoff ditch and cleaning out the junk from Main and South Center. And we've all watched the Rashers return a historic house into a home while themselves raising a young family. We have yearly Center Street on Old Lincoln Highway themed neighborhood parties. We plan on bumping that up to 2 a year. We are tight. We are proudly support the fire department Veterans Park. Our street is the event parking lot. Multiple times a year, we actually work to maintain our gravel road for community parking. Our street is already busy enough with the school, the fire department, Veterans Park, and to be perfectly clear, we enjoy all of them. We actually work to maintain our gravel for community parking. Our street is already busy enough with the school, fire department. I'm sorry, I'm repeating. And to be perfectly clear, we enjoy all of them, but there is such a thing as too much. You are community developers and you are isolating a family or possibly isolating a family from their community. Let that sink in. This is that one rezoning situation that should have never been brought to the meeting. Grantsville does not need this business location. This neighborhood doesn't need it. Only one single person in this town does, and that's not in support of community, but only self-gain. I'm all for small business, but I can't support small business icing out tax-paying citizens from their neighbors. I don't care how the zoning ended up before this. To close, I want to remind you, you are separating a residence with a young family from all neighborhoods. They are not a business. They are a young family in a family home that happens to wonderfully be from the 1890s. This is their home. Respect it.
Thank you. State your name, please.
My name is Michelle Connor. My family moved into the greenhouse on North Center 7 years ago. What drew us to this home was the cute little neighborhood and the small little city. I understand and love the small town life. I grew up in a small little town. You may have heard of it. It's called Lehi, Utah. I remember getting our first fast food restaurant and then watching as that small town got its first traffic light. My little hometown has continued to grow until it's now the monstrosity it is today, with many traffic lights, restaurants, and businesses. I understand a small town growing, but one thing I love about the growth in Lehigh is the preservation of Main Street, Center Street, and State Street. With all the massive growth that has taken place, Old Town, Main Street, Center, and even some of State has been preserved and still has the small town feel that I grew up in. Our neighbors take pride in where we live, right here in Grantsville. For heaven's sakes, my husband rakes the gravel for all the neighbors. We have neighborhood parties. We love having the town come to our neighborhood for the 4th of July or homecoming parades, but we love our quiet little area for the majority of the time. This is what concerns me about the commercial property trying to come into our neighborhood. If you take a drive west down Main Street in Grantsville after the car wash, there are 6, 7 businesses that have failed and now have empty buildings or empty lots that could have businesses put on them. Is that what's going to happen to our beautiful little paradise in our neighborhood? Are businesses going to be put in, fail, and then become abandoned eyesores? I love the little businesses on Main Street. I feel as a city, we should focus on restoring businesses there, not invading neighborhoods. Please, let's work on beautification, not commercialization. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Alex Gersoni. I'm speaking on behalf of my neighbor Katie. I live at 54th North Center Street and I love my neighborhood. We care about one another. Knowing my neighbors are there for me is very important. I'm a retired school bus driver and I have made the choice to live out my last years here in Grantsville. People are the bloodline of a city. Connection and community are important. I fear that should 9 and 15 North Center Street zoned to CN, the neighborhood will suffer. It'll isolate our neighbors at 5 North Center Street, which is a historic home. A family lives there in this home. They deserve the peace and security to raise their children in a neighborhood not surrounded on all sides by business. This location is not suitable for business. It will bring more traffic, possible parking issues, at which times are already a problem. There are other more suitable locations for business if that is the desire of the city. I realize that it is not possible to please all people at the time. Yet I am hopeful that you will leave 9 and 15 Center Street zoned as they are. I realize business would create more revenue for the city and provide the landowner more profit in developing or selling the land. Give us, the families, as neighbors. Sometimes people are more important than money. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Christy Lawrence. I am a longtime resident of Grantsville. My parents were born here. I was raised here. My kids are raised here. I've been here my whole life. I'm a business owner in Tooele County. I feel like I understand what makes Grantsville great, but the need for growth and development. But I think it's a big mistake to zone that lot that's in question commercial. That area of town is the heart of Grantsville, and I chose to live there for a reason. We have beautiful subdivisions with cookie cutter houses all over now, and they're great, but really the charm of Grantsville is this section with this history and the true old houses, like the house on the corner. Anybody in Grantsville, you say Center Street and they say, oh, that house, I know that house. It's on the National Registry for Historic Homes. It matters to this community. It's important. It matters to the family that lives there. And you have the commercial property on the corner and this beautiful historic home. And what happens when you put 3 or 4 businesses right next to it? It no longer has the same value. It's not even a house that potentially could be commercial property. I don't know if you've been in it or you know the family that lives there, but it's not structurally even possible to make that like an Airbnb. It's a residential home. And the family that lives there is doing exactly what we want our neighbors in Grantsville to do. They take care of this home, they're restoring it. It matters to Grantsville, and there's parts of Grantsville that we need to see the value beyond somebody developing more commercial property. There's a lot of talk, I'm sure you all have seen Facebook, about our city leaders not listening and it's all corrupt and it's all done behind closed doors. And I really want to believe that that's how it works and that's true, but the optics on this one are really not good. You have a city employee who now is on the inner circle and they're asking for zoning for their own property, for their own gain. And at times we can hope for the best, but if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, what is it really? This is a residential community. We love the fire station. We're okay. We know we live next to Main Street, but how many places in Grantsville do we have lots, 3 or 4 in from Main Street in a residential? We don't have that many because we don't need that many. There's too many other places. So I really hope you consider making it residential, even multi-home residential. We're okay with that. We want families on our street. We don't want another smoke shop, another business that doesn't add to the charm or the value for that section. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sydney Rasher. Sorry if I'm emotional. I just love hearing how much my neighbors, how much we love each other and how much we get along. And it's just been kind of emotional for me. But my name is Sydney Rasher. I was raised here in Grantsville. Me and my husband and 3 young children live in the historic Grantsville home at 5 North Center Street, right next door to the 2 lots. Our home was built in 1898 and is on the National Register of Historic Places. We have invested over $100,000 on our home restoration and plan on spending more. We spend that money knowing that we may never get it back. We spend it because our love of Grantsville and the history and our community and our neighborhood. Some things are more important to us than money. If these 2 lots were to change to commercial properties, not only would that choice be based off of potential profit and personal gain for the property owner, but it would negatively affect all property owners on the street and the surrounding area. There's rumors that we have heard that our house or property will someday be commercialized, whether by being an Airbnb or some type of venue. I can guarantee that we have no plans to pursue that, nor will it ever be based off of our floor plan and other factors. If these lots are zoned commercial, it will isolate our home from the rest of the neighborhood. We know the street is near commercial properties located on Main Street, some of which are vacant, struggling to maintain tenants, and are lacking in customers, parking, and foot traffic. We tend to be understanding and considerate neighbors. We know when the fire station has events or people visit the salon that people will likely use our personal parking. We have never discouraged this. However, it does show that there's a lack of parking and space for the current traffic the street receives. There are currently no sidewalks on the street. And if a sidewalk were to be added with the addition of the potential business buildings, the parking strip of gravel would be on the side closest to our house, not the road, making it so that area where we have allowed others to park for events at the fire station, where we have let customers for the salon park, would be unable to be used for parking anymore and will create larger issues for the neighborhood. We love our town. We know that growth is inevitable. However, we just ask that we can leave the zoning on Center Street how it is. The current zoning allows for multi-residential homes. We welcome neighbors and families. Please keep our neighborhood a family-friendly and historically respectful neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alta Calcaño. I have been a resident to Grantsville for 15 years and love it. And one of the things that I was very attracted to this town is for the small community feel. And I have been very grateful to see that that has been maintained for a long time, but I understand the development and growth is part of any town right now in Utah. I am also the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, and I have been part of it since it was established over 8 years ago. I have a passion for historic home and for the history of Grantsville. Rezoning a residential area to commercial use can introduce a range of secondary impacts, including increased traffic, noise, nighttime, lighting, and public safety concerns such as attracting crime. These changes may alter established neighborhood character, exacerbate congestion, and reduce walkability. Nearby residential properties may also experience diminished quality of life, as well as their members, and the potential decline in property values due to the spillover effects. While commercial uses can provide additional service and economic activity, such transitions often place added strain on existing infrastructure, such as what it was mentioned, there is no sidewalk. Parking, as well as affecting parking in the park communities. Also keep in mind the schools there is around. It may erode community cohesion if not carefully planned and mitigated. At present, I may mention that Main Street contains multiple vacant lots and underutilized buildings. That represents a more appropriate and a strategic opportunity for commercial growth. Directing new businesses to this corridor will support infill development, leverage existing infrastructure that we have, quite a few, and minimize adverse impact on established residential neighborhoods and communities. Concentrating commercial activity along Main Street will help us establish, hopefully, a downtown someday. We lost it. It will be great if we can get it back, if we plan it accordingly and intentionally. Misuse environment and advance long-term goal of creating and revitalize a core that we are so greatly missing. As chair of the Historic Preservation Commission, we are very mindful of our historic homes, and we want to preserve them. We want to preserve the areas around them. And hopefully in the future, we can create a historic district so we don't lose any more properties that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
You repeat if they're on Zoom to raise their hand.
Yeah, we got.
Name's Jeremy Hill. I live at 90 North Center Street, against the rezoning. The only thing that people haven't said is just the activities at the fire station as well, all the traffic with them. If there was a strip mall across the street from it, even more traffic, even more problems. Also, it's impressive. Everybody on North Center Street is here against it. So that's got to speak volumes. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Linda Storr. I am not a resident on Center Street. I grew up on Apple Street. I've been here my entire life. I live on the east side of town, but I'm very against this turning into a commercial property. Many of everything really that I've wanted to say has been said. Jeremy hit on the one thing that I was waiting to be said, and that's the fire station and the Veterans Park and the school, the elementary school, having suddenly changed the atmosphere so much with commercial property and the traffic that that would bring of any type of commercial property there. I think we are so proud of most of our residents of this town of having that beautiful historic home that is being lived in and loved and cared for, and to isolate them is going to make that whole part of town, to me, an eyesore. I've been in that home, not since I was very young. It's beautiful, it's lovely, but structurally, it is not set up to be turned into any kind of a B&B or any other type of business. We're lucky that this family wants to live in and love that home. I can't think of anything that hasn't been mentioned. The optics of the situation that we're dealing with here speaks volumes if this is passed as turning that 9 and 15 into commercial property. I see the social media and the negative things that are said, and the optics are already bad enough. This is just feels like it's digging our Grantsville leadership hole deeper and deeper, and I want better for our community, all of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone on Zoom? Use the raise your hand button. No? All right, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing item. Move on to the last one, consideration of the proposed amendments to the parks and transportation capital facilities plans, impact fee facilities plans, and impact fee analysis for Grantsville City. Is there anyone that would like to speak on that? Is there anyone on Zoom? Raise your hand. No? All right, we'll close the public hearing section. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 1, consideration of proposed rezone for 587 East Main Street in the CD zoning designation to RM15 zoning designation.
So as I was doing research into this lot, I learned that there was an error in the zoning, so it's currently showing as CD on the zoning map, but it is actually zone CN. That doesn't affect any residential uses that the applicant may want or may benefit the applicant. What it does is just reduce the conditional or permitted uses in that zone as far as commercial. This is a part of our commercial corridor. You can see we have commercial here adjacent. We're trying to make this a commercial corridor here with Grantsville. It is surrounded right here by a subdivision of duplexes. And then here on our zoning map, our future land use map, it's a mixed use of high density and commercial. And then here's the lot as well. This is what the house looked like and the lot.
Past tense, that's what it looked like.
Yes.
So you said, okay.
Yeah, looked like. This is currently what it looks like now.
Good choice of color.
Okay, so I've seen this come up on a few agendas, but then we've removed it. Is there a reason why it kept getting pushed, or maybe I was seeing things?
It did pop up on one agenda. We were going to have it as a concept proposal, but
Okay, that was my next question, because I saw concept on it. So is there
yep.
any plans for it, or obviously there is?
I mean, at this point, we don't know specifically what we want to do, other than it just doesn't, it's too small of a lot to be anything meaningful commercial, and it doesn't fit the surroundings. I mean, you've got everything to that neighborhood to the east is twin homes. The homes behind it, come right up against it that are nice larger properties. Everything on the north side of the street is single family homes. And so we just looked at it and said, it's a double lot. The home sits only on the one half. We just want the option of building another residential property, as opposed to, there's really not any commercial use that fits there anyways.
All right, Sarah, want to start?
The only question I was gonna ask is kind of if you had any plans to utilize it, but Derek asked it, and I think you've answered it. I don't have any other questions or concerns, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe one thing to add, something that fits the neighborhood, but also the economics of the location. It's not gonna be a McMansion, right? Nobody's gonna go build $1 million home on that lot right on Main Street. So
an affordable home that a local family can live in is what we want to figure out.
As a rental or?
No, I'd like to make it something that can be owned by a local family.
Thank you.
Debbie?
Yeah, that was my main question as well. I. I'll go into more probably on the next one. I love the idea of having Main Street for some commercial. That me personally, I love the idea of that because we are getting to the point where we are growing so fast. And we are still a bedroom community. So I would have no problem where you already own that, you have a home there. If you're looking at doing it as a home for someone to live in and have a small home there, I don't know the huge difference that spot is going to make if it goes commercial. If it's to be subdivided for a duplex or something, I would feel differently. So if what you say is true, that you just want it for a little home there, then I would be open to suggestions. That's it.
Okay, Jason?
I don't really have any comments. I think to mirror what Debbie says, I think commercials make sense on Main Street, but at the same time, on this case where you're looking there, I can't see a reason why we couldn't, I would oppose it.
Chris?
So is it, the small home is a separate lot next to that? Is that what I'm saying? Is it all one?
Currently, it's one lot.
And you want to subdivide
but-
eventually to create two?
It's currently one lot, less than a half acre. And again, the depth, the dimensions just don't accommodate. I've talked to developers that do various commercial things all over the state, specifically in small towns.
And we're all
And there's-
residential basically along there, correct?
Yeah,
These houses,
everything on that.
all those are residential houses.
So
That's
you-
across from Family Dollar, correct?
Correct, so
Correct.
you have
Okay.
two lots that are zone commercial here. You have this corner lot and the one that's to the west of it.
Well, it's
that
one,
is-
it's one lot currently.
So there,
My
you
neighbor's
have,
residential.
no, it's commercial. It is commercial, so our zoning map combines both lots. It is commercial.
But it's currently being used as residential, but it's.
Yes, currently being used as residential. It is a commercial lot.
Okay.
And so there are implications of zoning it, rezoning it to a residential mixed family. You have conditional uses that allow higher density of more than just a single family lot.
That's what I'm worried about, because usually don't come in with the concept plan for a single home. So there was something that people were looking at. So. I mean, I'd rather have it residential right there than throw another Arby's in the middle of a residential, so I'm fine with moving, with rezoning this to an RM15. If there's any other discussion. No,
Side of it, that's kind of direction I lead to.
I mean, you'd almost have to tear down that house that's sitting there to do a lot to it.
Yeah,
So,
you'd have to.
I'll make a motion that we recommend the approval for the consideration of proposed rezone for 587 East Main Street in a CD Commercial District Development District zoning designation to an RM15 multiple residential district zoning designation. I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I'll let you know when you're on council's agenda.
Any more discussion?
No.
No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thanks.
All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 2. Consideration of a proposed rezone for 15 North Center Street and 9 North Center Street in the RM15 zoning designation to CN zoning designation. State your name, sir.
Barry Bunderson, owner of the 2 lots at 9 and 15 North Center. Do you all have any questions? I don't know if it's important or pertinent, but just for the residents that are here, I was before this body, if you can recall, maybe Derek, you weren't here and in present, were you here? Maybe on Zoom or something. And I just presented that this is a concept. What do we want to do with this piece of land? I have no plans in particular for it. I just wanted some feedback if we all recall that. And then I went to city council and through those discussions, that was sort of the direction that was perceived by me, that this is what we want for our community in this area, which matches the zoning. Just a little history on zoning. Zoning was mandated by state in like 1996. And the earliest that I could find showed a zoning map from 2003. This area, that color purple is zone CS. There's other maps I can show you from 2008, still at CS, and 2015 at CS. And then I actually, as a private engineer, worked on this project for Doug Higley, who owned the historic home. He, at the time, rezoned it because it met the general plan requirements to this RM15 zone so that he could create 3 lots. It fit that sort of zoning. And that's how the 3 lots got created, separate from the home and its land. And through that was like right at the beginning of COVID, and part of my payment was going to be delayed and delayed and delayed. So Doug and I made a deal where he would pay me through a reduced price on the lots, and I invested in these, I guess you would say. And since then, as a private owner, I've thought about what should I do with this? Should I follow the zoning RM15? And personally, I've also lived here in Grantsville for a long time, for the last, 30 years or so. I know a lot of the people that live on this street, and I am not unsympathetic to where their heartstrings are, and these are good people, and they are, they do take care of their neighborhood. But if you will look now at the zoning here, these 3 lots are on an island pretty much, even across the street, Main Street. The historic home is like 44 feet from Main Street. Everybody keeps throwing out the word residential, but this is, for all intents and purposes, access to Main Street. This is a property that commercial businesses would be interested in. And that's all I was after, is what do we want this to look like? I threw out Civic, if you remember, part of the Veterans Park. I'm not trying, if I were a greedy person and somebody might say, this looks like a duck or whatever, I could turn around this and sell this tomorrow to somebody who's going to put, 6 townhomes in there, and I could move it quickly and they could move their product quickly. My intent is for the overall good of Grantsville. Later, if you want to stick around, if the people that are interested here want to stick around and listen to the transportation impact fee, why businesses that generate taxes are a benefit to our community, that would be informative to them. Anyway, again, if you have any questions as far as where this might be going, or follow up to any of the comments that have been made, if you have anything particular you want me to address, I can, whatever, but.
Question?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll try to just keep it to the question at hand, because I do have a lot of comments on this whole situation, but.
Sure.
Before that, do you have an idea that if it were to be zoned commercially, do you have any ideas of what you're looking at?
Absolutely zero.
Okay.
If any of these people want it, they can pay the fair market value for a commercial property and keep it how it is.
Okay.
I have no buyers, nobody online, nobody tied up the land, nothing like that.
The reason I asked that is, and I do want to make one comment that goes with the couple comments that were made about the whole duck thing and about deals behind closed doors.
Sure.
And I'll get into my feelings on that in a minute, but I don't know you. I
don't even know your
dealt with
name.
you- Yeah, and you don't really know my name because when I had a little bit of a dealing with you, my last name was different. And so I only know what I've seen of you at these meetings, and I haven't been part of the city council for very long, or I mean, the planning and zoning. But one thing I can tell you about Barry Gunderson, not knowing him, I know this about him. He did come to a meeting and he asked us what we would like to see done with that as far as a community for the betterment of Grantsville. I don't see you as trying to do dirty deals. I don't see you as trying to do this for the money. I really am impressed with how you handled this situation with your properties. And so I just wanted to, in case any of you really don't know Barry and feel like he's doing something just for his personal gain, he's absolutely right what he's saying about if it stays as residential, maybe to think about a small town business in there as opposed to a duplex or a fourplex in there or something. So anyway, that's something I wanted to just see if you had any ideas commercially to give them kind of an idea. Sounds like you don't, but I think it could be bad either way.
I will add, someone called me who is a local auto sales person on this property. And I said, there's a lot that has been mentioned around here. And he was asking me, what do you think the price point is? And I said, I have no idea, but there's a comparable that's around the corner. Haven't heard from him since, but there's people like that. I've gotten calls on this a lot. I think they've mostly been interested in what its zone is now. I don't know, but I'll offer that. But there is, no contracts, no dealings, no negotiations, nothing. Anybody wants to buy it tomorrow? It's good with me.
Anything else?
Yeah, I do have more, but I
Let's
don't.
just start
You want
with
me to
you.
do it
Yeah,
now?
we'll start with you.
I didn't know if you want to stand up
You're going,
for
you-
all this. No, I mean, today's been a tough day for me. I'm not gonna lie. I am somewhat new to this, several months into this position. Didn't ask to be part of planning and zoning. I was asked to do it. And I had to put a lot of thought into that. I believe very much so, even though I know none of you that spoke today except for Michelle. And I don't know if she even knows who I am, but we played bunco together. So I grew up in Grantsville since I was 1 year old. I left for 35 years, which maybe you think is a bad thing, but I left for 35 years and raised my family in Fillmore, a town of 1,800 people. Came back here 8 years ago, and this town is my heart. I love Fillmore, raised my family there, but this town has my heart. And I only took this position because I wanted to help and fight for the little people, which is me. I'm not calling you little people. I feel like I am you because I still own my home that I was raised in. I don't live there now, but I still own my home where I was raised since I was 1 year old. And I know exactly that my community, where my home is exactly the same as where your community, what you feel about your community on Center Street. I worried so much about today because I really have a reason being on this committee personally. And it's kind of twofold. One is I'm not a people pleaser, but I don't want to have conflict. I want people to know that I want to help them be able to get permits more easily. I want it to not be such an ordeal. I want to be able to, anyway, I won't go down that road. My biggest thing is that I love this town and wish, along with all of you, that it could have stayed at the 2,500 population that it was when I grew up here and went to school. It's not, and it won't. And I don't know how many of you know this, but within 5 years, we'll be at least 30,000 people. That's already been permitted. It's coming. What I hate, absolutely hate about my life in Grantsville is that we're a bedroom community. We will always have to go to Tooele or Salt Lake for everything we need. And I hate that we're getting big, but I'm a realist and it is happening. So I want to be an advocate for businesses, not to hurt people in residential areas because I'm one of you. But what I can say is, as far as Center Street goes, I've been at many things at the fire station. I know that fire station's been there since I was a little kid. So I know that it already had business there. And personally, just my own opinion, if I were going to have something fill one of those lots, I'd rather have a small town business that's one of us, that's hopefully going to make a better life for themselves than to have a fourplex or a big apartment complex in there. So that's my viewpoint, and I hope that none of you really do feel what was said about potentially the optics of this looking bad, because I don't know any of those optics. I don't even get on social media as a rule. But I literally am in it to try and better Grantsville. And if it means that I can do some shopping here and support businesses so they don't turn out like the ones on Main Street that are closed, I'm all for it. And so that's what's behind my answer today. I might get overvoted or whatever, but I want every one of you to know, and please believe that if I vote to have it residential or commercial, it's not because I don't hear you and think that what you did today wasn't heartfelt and meant, because I feel the exact same thing about my neighborhood. But if I had an empty lot next to my home, I would darn well rather have a small business from somebody in the community that wants to have a print shop or something there, rather than another duplex or fourplex. That's just my view, and I wanted you guys to know that, so that when we vote, I don't have to see my name up on social media saying what a witch I am, or that I've done a backroom deal, because I promise you that is not me. And if you knew me or get to know me, I'm happy to tell you more about my life, but I love Grants. And I'll fight for business, because I don't want to be a bedroom community in a town that'll have 30 to 40 to 50,000 people in the near future. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jason?
How do you put me up after a while?
I'm just giving.
I'm a little torn on this. I really want to see what we're looking at for the overall master plan for Grantsville. And I think we do have to look out for what the long-term view is and not just the short term. And part of that is where we put that commercial corridor in Grantsville, which matches kind of what you're saying, Debbie. I do have a little bit concerned, Barry, in the sense that when you did acquire the property, you knew what it was zoned. And so I know you're trying to change that now, and in respect, you did come and ask, what is the recommendation of the.
And I said, I'll leave it as it is but yeah, keep going.
And so I'm listening to that, and I also listen to a lot of the people here that have concerns about that, because it is change. It was changed once and it's been changed again. And so I'm still kind of going back and forth on that piece. I do respect what people are looking for in the area and where it is right now. I'm still kind of trying to work through this in my head. But I do also, our interest for the planning and zoning commissions to look after the city and what's the best interest of the city long-term in my mind.
Can I say more
Go
things?
ahead, Barry.
Really?
Yeah.
To give you more time to think. So I was curious, to learn about this historic home. And so I looked up some stuff. And this is just from a post by someone and it talks about James Rathall, who built the home. This is anyway, let's see what this says. Some sort of a biographical sketch of him. It says that he was a successful farmer. He had stock interest in multiple businesses. And it says this, as a prosperous rancher and a farmer, he had numerous business interests. He served on the city council. He was on the school board for 13 years. And then someone wrote this about him. There's no name perhaps that figures more conspicuously and honorably in connection with the business development of Grantsville and Tooele County than does the name James L. Rathall. Further, it says he is also at the head of various important business enterprises which constitute a dominant factor in the general development and progress of the district in which he lives. This is a person who served his community, city council person. He was a business person. He wanted things that are, good for the people by investing in these things and developing a community that can serve a lot of people. And so I think perhaps that can be part of your consideration in honoring James Rathall is in his honor of what is this gonna be? What should this be for the community? That isn't what's good for me, Barry. That's what's good for the community. And the community is much bigger than the 500 feet of Center Street.
Chris?
That's kind of, everything was all mixed together, answered all my questions, so. And I just saw the history behind it, was what I was wondering, but that's kind of been answered, so. I have to think about it for a minute.
Sarah?
Sure you don't want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
I just want to say that I read through all this information and the staff overview was great. Thank you for putting that together, you all. Nicole and Shelby, and I know that you've had a lot more interaction with Barry than we have, but I feel the same way that Deb does. I wish we could have given you a more detailed and defined direction when you had approached us before for ideas and options that might benefit the community using these lots in a productive way, not that we didn't try to come up with options for you.
You were
but,
put on the spot, yeah.
I'm going to fall back on my normal soapbox that says, folks don't understand that we cannot restrict somebody's right to develop or use their property as they see fit. As long as we can determine that it's not going to have an egregious effect on the community. And I in my short interactions with Barry when he was here before, I can't imagine that he's going to go to the extreme in trying to develop and define an idea that will blend into our community and support neighborhood feelings. And I've seen a lot of people come through here, and I've only been here a year, not even quite a year. Mayor asked me to serve in February, and I've learned a lot, but I've also kind of learned how to read between the lines, and I feel like we are all here trying to serve the community, and it's doesn't hurt us when you insinuate that there are other things going on besides only what we are trying to do is make the best choice for future uses in our community that we know have long standing impacts. So I actually don't have any concerns about your request, and I appreciate you being thoughtful and coming back and giving us the opportunity to discuss it again and putting yourself out there, because I know it's hard, and I know people would rather take the easy road and attack than try to have conversations that could surprise people in all the ways that it could benefit them instead of being short-minded. So thank you for coming back and moving forward with hopefully what will be a great vision and impact for our little community that I think we hold together pretty dang well. I don't have any, I know, right, we don't have any plans of what the future will be, and our only discussion here is the zoning change, which I support.
That's correct. And just if I can chime in, I've talked to the Rashers on multiple occasions, the daycare people, Larry Burton, who is the neighbor to the north, who has a commercial property, a shop there for his electrical business. I've spoken to all of these people and said, look, before I go ahead and do this, this has been maybe a year ago or so, and sometime before that. I said, before I do this, like, here's your, are you interested? But then I said, with the understanding that this is how this is zoned and planned for the city, so it has the potential to have a value of what these commercial properties are. And that didn't go anywhere. That's still an open door for anybody interested. Just so you guys know that I'm not, I've approached these people and they know it, and I'm not trying to be shady. I owned this property before I started here at the city. Actually communicated with the mayor and Shelby Moore way ahead of me taking a position here. And so if anybody is curious about that and they want evidence, come to me and I'll show you it.
Can I?
Hang on.
I'm just gonna say one thing.
Go ahead.
I found it interesting that a lot of the concerns about increased traffic and potential of crime and all those things, when the mayor was working with me many years ago about the development in our neighborhood, and I brought the same concerns to him, he listened with a very open heart and gentle ear, and none of those things happened that I thought was going to happen either. So I still feel like that is the foundation of our little community, that with the fear and gaslighting of what could happen with a small business coming in that impacts our quiet little neighborhoods, you are not seeing the whole picture of what a great opportunity it is to open our community to others. So thank you, Mayor, for supporting us in that way too.
So I'm gonna speak first. I'm gonna speak first. I'm gonna talk. I haven't given you the floor yet. I'm the chairman here. So I want to address a couple things. You were right when you said that developers have the right to do what they want with their property. It's a little bit different when it's a rezone though.
Yeah.
If it's zoned for something and they're asking for it, we have to pretty much give them the thumbs up. What we do, according to the law.
Yes.
This is asking for a rezone from a residential to commercial. In my mind, this is a spot zone. There's commercial or there's residential pretty much all around it. If we're trying to better our community and get commercial, a print shop, a smoke shop, those things aren't going to benefit our community. 2 little buildings or a strip mall when a lot of them are vacant already. We have 10 plus acres for the 20 Wells commercial. We have the Romney Group with a ton of commercial. The Sean Johnson property that's going to have a ton of commercial. This little area is not going to convert our bedroom community into a thriving business community where people don't have to drive into Salt Lake. Okay. Barry, you lived right next to a commercial area. You know how loud it is and how bad it is to live next to a residential house. I know that because I bought your house and I live in that house and it is loud. So I'm kind of upset that you would ask that, even though you went to planning commission and we did.
So why do you still live where you live if it's so terrible?
And city council, because of you seen house prices. I'll keep my equity, but we won't get into that. We're gonna stay on this subject.
Best neighbors I've ever had, by the way.
This won't benefit the community like everybody is saying. It's not very often you get a group of people that come in and say they want houses, they want neighbors, they want families. They don't care if it's 6 homes or 5 homes. They want neighbors, they want a family. They don't want commercial business right next to them. This is spot zoning. This is spot zoning. We should match what's around the community, and it's residential.
Can I point that out? That's actually the purple's commercial, not residential.
I know, and I was
Yeah,
gonna bring that point up too.
And that band follows clear to the east.
When they put this,
Incorrect, it's not residential, it's commercial.
the houses, the buildings around it are residential.
That's incorrect.
That's what I'm talking about.
To the north is a commercial building.
The salon.
No, to the north
To the north.
of Dick's Properties is a commercial building.
The west is Kidsville.
And the salon is a commercial building, and then to the west is a commercial building, and to the east is a commercial building.
Main Street.
So don't misspeak.
Okay,
please.
It's on Main Street. There's a salon on Main Street. There's a daycare on Main Street.
They're adjoining these properties.
Okay,
They adjoin the
It's
property.
Main Street. So that's my opinion, is we should keep the zoning at residential RM15.
Okay, so I have one more question on that.
Sure.
If it goes, am I understanding that if it goes to CN, if it goes to commercial, residential, you can do either? Is that correct? So like by changing this zoning, it's not going to make it so that it has to be businesses there. Am I correct or not?
It would depend on what uses are permitted in the use table. Right now, currently, someone could do commercial there is a conditional use, as well as put in high density residential. Right now, our future land use says that they can have 10 dwelling units to the acre, and so you would divide that by whatever those lot sizes are, and it would be a lot more than just 6.
And that's probably my
townhomes.
biggest concern.
And the fact is it's conditional use, and so it's permitted by right,
Okay.
and so unless Grantsville City is going to do their own study and prove that there's a negative impact, the developer could come in and throw 25 townhomes on there, and you guys can't do anything about it.
That's my thing. I get what you're saying for sure, and I get what all of you are saying. I literally have compassion for every viewpoint here. But if I end up being swayed to go with you folks and keep it as a residential area, and they come in and put in high density housing there, I'm gonna be livid. I mean, I'm gonna be sad that I did what I did. So I just feel like nobody has said anything about that. That's why I asked you if you have plans. I've never heard anything about a strip mall being put in there. I feel like we're thinking about the worst that could happen. I'm not thinking that a print shop would save Grantsville's future. I just think,
Could be a bank.
me personally,
Could be a title
I would rather
company.
see something little business there that maybe is from someone here in Grantsville that was trying to put a little business in, rather than put in high density housing
Okay, but
or a small.
with RM15, you know what you can get. It's premature zoning. We have no idea what this commercial could be. We're opening up to whatever.
Okay.
It'd be different if they're coming in and saying, let's build this is what I want to do. So we have a plan. These folks have an idea of what's gonna happen. This is just opening up to whoever buys it can do whatever they want in the CN zone.
Okay, so
We at
that's what
least
I
know
need you to clarify for me, because I am newer at this and don't know everything that goes in each zone. So if we do know what can go in R15, or M15, can high density go in there?
15 houses per acre.
Okay,
What is
that's
it?
what I
It's
thought.
how,
It's 10 to 15 dwelling units per acre in our future land use plan.
And
Your
it's
comment about
2 quarter-acre
anything
lots.
can go into commercial is incorrect. We have a use table, which is outlined on the screen, that shows what is conditional and what is not allowed in the use table. This zoning he's requesting is one of our most restrictive commercial zonings that we have.
Thank you.
Okay,
I think that's
Derek, can I just say something here?
yes, you can.
Okay. When we hired Barry as our engineer, knowing that he had this property, he agreed that he would not review any of the plans that's going to go in here, because this is his. Okay, he has to step away from that part. We'll have somebody else do it. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Thank you.
That'll shut the yapping dogs up.
That's a little inappropriate, Mayor. It's your citizens that are talking. You call them yapping dogs.
Well, let me tell you,
Great show.
tired of hearing from him.
I'm glad it's your last meeting tomorrow.
Yes, it is.
Okay, anybody other discussion on this?
I just have one other question for contemplation. What is our Main Street supposed to really look like in 15 years? Maybe directed to you, Derek, you're the chairman of this planning commission. We've put a lot of effort into general plans that lay out what we want. We put a lot of effort into zoning, future land use maps, which that's what this is. That's what we're seeing on the screen. And so if that's wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting
Well,
you. What are you saying?
Main Street should have commercial businesses on them, but we've moved away from that. Your property's not on Main Street, it's Center Street. So we've taken businesses off. Solberg is leaving. Now it's going to Durfee Street and Matthews Lane. There'll be more commercial on 112. Main Street's gonna be residential like it is, unless someone buys a swath of houses, tears them down and builds stuff. It's residential.
So, but that's not what any of your documents say. So this sounds like it's coming from you as an individual.
No, what the documents say that commercial should be on Main Street. Okay, but.
So are
No.
you saying something different than your adopted
No,
plan that
I'm
you're the chairman
saying
of?
That that's the way it should be. That's what the general plan says. Businesses on Main Street and commercial. That's the way that it's zoned. Okay, but tell me where a property is. That's why we couldn't put Solberg's on Main Street because there wasn't property. to do it.
Size,
Okay.
that's the reason.
Size. Or there wasn't property.
Yeah.
Unless you wanted to buy a swath of houses, tear them down, then you could do it. But that would take a lot of money. So that's why we moved away from. So you're not wrong. Businesses should be on Main Street. And
But that's not what you just said.
I'm not denying that. No, I said the city has gotten away from it because there's no property that you can do commercial on it. That's what I'm saying. Don't
Except
put
for-
words in my mouth.
Except for something like this,
That's not Main Street. This is Center Street.
which is like 50 feet from Main Street.
Okay, I think we're,
Any more discussion on this?
I do want to point out goal 3 of our general plan. Section 4, this is promote neighborhood commercial development in targeted areas to preserve existing or planned residential development without detracting from residential character. Increasing density along Main Street corridor and offering more clustered housing for low-income families. So it is saying promote neighborhood commercial development while promoting residential character. So you guys need to decide, do you want high density residential there? Or do you want to preserve a corridor for a low impact commercial area?
And I appreciate that. And also, I don't think that we should, if we follow the state law, restrict somebody's ability to develop their land without some sort of solid evidence that it will have a negative impact. And I get that people are concerned about their neighborhood changing. However, I think that this is a fair and reasonable consideration and a good way to meet in the middle. And he doesn't own those empty commercial properties on Main Street. He's not going to benefit from those empty commercial opportunities on Main Street. That is the city's burden to find businesses to come in and fill those empty buildings. But he has his own property that he has an opportunity to do something with, and we cannot restrict his ability to do that.
Tyson.
Unless we have.
Tyson, can you clarify rezones for us?
Hold on, she wasn't finished talking. Don't be rude. Let her finish and then Tyson can answer.
Unless you have solid evidence that it is not safe or not reasonable, or that it would have an egregious effect. And I haven't heard any evidence that this zoning change would have that impact. So I think that people should be able to use their property. And if a little rezone, this is actually what it is a spot zoning right here because it doesn't fit in with everything else that's around there. We can't really call it one thing when you want it to be another thing, right? Right now, it is a little piece of property where the zoning doesn't fit in all that other purple. So I think to err on the rights of the landowner is what our responsibility is.
Tyson Barker, City Attorney, just to clarify Chairman's question on a rezone and the criteria for that. No one as a property owner has a right to a rezone. A rezone is a legislative act that could be done at the option of the legislative body. However, any recommendation for denial should be based on legitimate land use purposes. It should be supported by written findings of fact. Should not be based solely upon public input, although public input should be considered. But it should not be based solely upon public input or who the applicant is or things of that nature. It should take into it the totality of the circumstances, the surrounding uses, whether it's compatible with existing uses, and the historical use of the area. With those things all bundled together, you sort of can arrive at a recommendation to approve or deny. But either of those recommendations needs to be supported by written findings of fact.
Thank you.
I want to comment, I guess. Thank you, Pyson. That really helped. I'm still on the fence a little, well, not as much now. I will say one thing. I think if you look at the general plan from Grantsville, you will see that the intent of this area was to be commercial. There was an area because it was zoned differently. It was flagged in the map differently because it was zoned differently. But I think the overall intent of that was to be in a commercial zone. And again, meaning that what we're here to do is to protect the city in the future of the city and also be very respectful to the citizens. I'm leaning towards matching what the general plan intended and what you see here in the map.
Thank you.
One question, so the steel building on the north side is commercial?
Correct.
So
It's
there's
a
commercial
shop.
property between the next house?
Correct.
Okay. So it's not actually, so these 3 lots, you're showing 3 on this map here. It's actually only 2 because this one is purple too.
The one that's white that's on the bottom is the historic home.
So this is the historic one, and then
Correct.
there's those 2.
And there's those 2,
So
and
those
then,
2 next to are actually commercial above it, to the north.
yes,
Okay,
correct.
because I know the steel building's there.
And the one that's directly north, there's a steel building built
Oh,
on
there's
it.
another one there.
And then the
too.
one above that is vacant.
Okay. All right, that's all I was wondering.
No more discussion. Can I take a motion if someone wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to motion to recommend approval for the consideration of a proposed rezone for 15 North Center Street and 9 North Center Street in the RM 15 multiple residential district zoning designation to C-N neighborhood commercial district zoning designation.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. All opposed? Nay. Chris, did you vote?
Oh, sorry. Nay.
Nay. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Sarah?
Aye.
Debbie?
Aye.
Jason? Chris? Nay. And I'm a nay as well. So motion passes or recommend the approval is passed. All right, I'll move on to agenda item number 3. Consideration of the proposed amendments to the Park and Transportation Capital Facilities Plans, Impact Fee Facility Plans, and Impact Fee Analysis for Grantsville City.
Can you all pull your mics down so that the audio is being caught? There we go. Yeah, I do.
I gotta pull it down a little bit. I should just get closer to it.
Okay, I'm Robert Russell with Ensign Engineering. So annually, I think, Derek, you've gone through kind of this process before, so you know how it goes, but I'll kind of explain it. So annually, we look at the impact fees, update, capital improvement projects. This is kind of a 2025 kind of second amendment for parks and transportation. So parks, the big changes, it's pretty minor. There's a little bit of a reduction. It's almost $100, but we're renaming Eastmore Park that was previously in the plan to Scott Bevan Memorial Park, along with the ADA improvements project. We removed the term phases from, there was 3 phases of scenic slopes. We removed those terms and just named them projects. And that's just to help with funding in the future. And then we updated the cost estimates based on that first project for scenic slopes parks. Transportation, we updated the recently completed Matthews Lane and Durfee Street cost. And then the big change on this one was Sheep Lane had a very large cost for widening it in the past, and that was based on the Transportation Master Plan. After a discussion with the staff, we came to the conclusion that we should, change that to more of a rehabilitation project because UDOT's not widening SR 112 and 138 yet, and you just don't have all the industrial, growth out there at that time. So that one does reduce it quite a bit, like $2,700. And I'll kind of get that into that as we go through here. So overall impact fees, they're help to fund new expansion of public facilities necessary to accommodate new growth. There are buy-in costs for existing infrastructure if that existing infrastructure has excess capacity. As I mentioned, we amend them yearly. Our last amendment was in May to all the plans. And, we meet with city staff and then we go before planning commission and then it needs to go before city council. It does take 90 days before the minute impact fees go into effect once city council does approve. And then to keep our impact fees, more competitive with neighboring communities and to get that, that commercial, to want to come in, we do, if there are any projects that are focused more for a developer, we do list those as developer, funded projects and work through development on those. We did, for this amendment, we did not update the demographics. We kept the growth rate at 5%. When we do look at it annually, we do look at impact fees collected and we look at it and see if we do need to adjust that growth rate, but we just haven't done this on this just to get this amendment going. Let's see. And then we do have non-capital improvement project costs, which include, interest expenses, any existing capital assets, which is your buying costs if it has excess capacity, professional expenses, and then future debt service. And then the water and sewer rate studies, were, incorporated from last year's amendment. And once that the wastewater treatment plant, which will be, sometime here in the next month, then, that'll be part of kind of this next year's amendment. And we started doing them yearly. We had done we had amended them every 6 years, but what we found is if you don't amend them annually, then you may miss out on projects. Like, for example, one of them was the Marshall Well. It was part of a project for Deseret Peak. And then when, the city annexed that in, it was, the impact fees hadn't been updated. So it couldn't be, the city couldn't recoup impact fees for that. So yeah, this is based on the 5% growth rate. It's a 10-year projection, of 25,000 in 10 years. We do look at it annually and adjust it accordingly. Oh. Okay, there you go. So with impact fees, you start off with your level of service for Grantsville, and this has been carried on for, gosh, probably 13 years now, but the level of service parks is 4 acres per 1,000 population. Here's all kind of the impact fee eligible costs and projects. You'll notice kind of towards the bottom and some of those in between are, developer constructed projects. So that's why their impact fee eligible cost is 0. We've got kind of all these, parks projects shown, the existing are in green, the proposed are in red. And then this shows you kind of the difference. And that difference is mainly due just to the adjustments of the costs of scenic slopes and the various improvements there. And then we removed the Eastmore Park, the ADA improvements project, because that was an existing park. And we've got a comparison. It's in the packet. I won't go over it, but as you can probably see in the packet, I didn't have enough time to really put a nice graph together to really show it, but at least for, residential, we're kind of, Grantsville's kind of middle of the pack there. With impact fees, one thing to note is different communities have different improvements. So direct comparisons, I mean, it's great to compare, but it may not be, I guess, the same across different cities because as you all know, well, you may or may not know, but the wastewater treatment plant's coming and that's a large cost for sewer impact fees. Transportation. The transportation master plan is being updated this year. It'll probably be updated sometime in the spring. So all we've really got to go back on is the 2022 transportation master plan. So a lot of our projects, come from that. As I mentioned, the impact fee does come down quite a bit on transportation. And this will help with, commercial development, and industrial, those kind of non-residential uses.
Robert, do you want to explain how we changed it from just gross floor to?
Okay, yeah. So yeah, as you can see in the existing impact fees, we had based on the development type, and that was all based on the ITE trip generation. And what we've kind of played out a few different scenarios. So for example, like out in Deseret, if there's an industrial that has mostly rail, they may not generate as many trips on the road and therefore shouldn't pay, as high of a impact fee. So we've kind of put it on the developer to provide a trip generation study or traffic study to show those trips. And so we've basically just have, non-residential, just an impact fee per peak hour trip. We'll leave single family and multi-unit there. We eliminated trailer because, unless something changes in the city code, the city doesn't allow, trailers anymore, at least new ones. So that's kind of the big change there. And then here's kind of the example of just overall what changes in the impact fee. The proposed for like a single family half acre lot with Grantsville Irrigation Company shares, it does decrease about 12%. Yeah, are there any questions?
Yeah, can you explain to us what putting Sheep Lane under the rehab, how that works and what?
So it's not impact fee eligible because it's a rehab. You're not really increasing the capacity or doing anything to improvements. It would be, you're just maintaining an existing road. So if you do have so for another example would be if you had a water line in a street, unless you're upsizing it and increasing the capacity, so you have, additional growth, then you could charge impact fees. But if you're replacing it and you're putting in the same size, it would just be a replacement. There's no additional capacity for that, and it wouldn't help out new growth. So you couldn't charge an impact fee for it.
So, you just maintain Sheep Lane then?
Yes.
Don't expand it, don't fix it, just.
Well, it would be some pavement patching, some overlays, that type of thing, but it wouldn't be expanding it until we see UDOT start moving on. Hey, we're gonna widen, SR 112 and 138 and do other improvements, because it really doesn't make too much sense until they do that.
So is Sheep Lane not under UDOT's purview?
No, it's city.
Okay. So I know we talked about widening it when.
Yeah, I don't get why we put it under rehab if it's our road and we want impact fees to go towards fixing it and improving it. So why did we take it out of this?
So we can't go to fixing it if it's an already established road. So rehabbing it, we could do a full reconstruct to rehab that road.
Right.
And the impact fees wouldn't cover it. The only portion that impact fee would cover is if we added or widened that road, and it would cover that additional 12 feet. That's it. It couldn't cover the 90 feet that's already there for however wide it is. It could only cover the additional 12 feet.
That makes sense.
If there was excess capacity, then that could be impact fee eligible as well, but.
Isn't it already at excess capacity?
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic on there.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and I would put the caveat that, you know, when the transportation master plan is updated and we get a better idea of what improvements need to do and the timeline, then this will be, you know, this will be updated accordingly.
How much of the delta from the change in impact fee, because the main thing that I'm seeing different here is that the transportation
Went way down.
How much of that was reflective in?
Sheep Lane was a lot of that cost previously. Yep.
Did you look at, or help me understand, how do you look at, we have impact fees for new development to cover infrastructure like roads and everything we're doing here.
Correct.
How do we look at the performance that we're putting in to match what we're doing there as far as impact fees? And I'm going back to some of the roads we have, like Worthington and Nye Green, they go in and now we've got compaction issues and the road's starting to need repairs very shortly after it was installed because either the impact fees weren't sufficient enough or there was some there was enough oversight on compaction or different things weren't put in.
Yeah, and I think
that
that's
performance thing about.
Yeah, and I think that's more of, you know, we've, as a city, you know, Grantsville has adopted, you know, specifications a little bit more stringent, you know, for road base and, you know, pipe zone material and our, you know, our subgrade and everything. So, and pushing that a little bit more and making sure that they are on newer roads, you know, but in what they should and compacting like they should.
So are we seeing, is that estimate that you're giving based on these recommendations and saying the past performances should be sufficient? Because we've had these impact fees at a higher amount to date, and we haven't seen that kind of performance. And I don't know if it's where that gap is. I'm not trying to put on.
Yeah, and those were,
yeah,
and those were more developer constructed roads, right?
But if that's a city function to go back and verify that they're meeting compliance with design, whether it's compaction or whatever, I think that's something we need to look at. I just want to make sure that we're not shorthanding ourselves by underfunding something that we need to make sure we stay on top of.
So, hi. Impact fees are for new projects or expansion of existing projects, not dealing with remedial efforts.
I get that, but those roads were built in when we put in the 20 Wells Elementary and all that asphalt went in, and shortly after we're having to go back in, the city's having to go back in and repair.
Yeah, that can't be paid for out of impact fees.
But if it wasn't put in correctly to begin with, I'm saying, what is the impact fee being used correctly? And I don't want to shortchange what we're giving them money on that if we're already struggling to meet that. Because the road should be lasting longer than they do.
Right.
That's my opinion.
Impact fees are based off of a project list that is approved in the capital facilities plan. And it doesn't deal with development as that comes in. That pays its own way. The issues that you're talking about are related to specifications and standards that weren't being met for compaction or other things when the road was installed. The lifespan of a road should be at least 20 years. If we're already seeing problems because it was installed incorrectly, that's not something that's impact fee related. That's related to the developer not doing a good job and the city not catching it.
Does the impact fees cover the salaries of the individuals should be going out doing the inspections to ensure compliance?
Just infrastructure, just the dirt on the ground, so. And we have two inspectors for
I get that. I just want to make sure we don't underfund them and we say we can't afford to have the right kind of people overlooking. I'm just trying to protect the city and making sure we're getting.
Yeah, so on one hand, funding like this, it's fungible, right? We're getting these fees and applying them to certain areas that we anticipate growth and the necessity there. So that's an impact fee and it's directly related to growth in the city, but it's for off-site improvements for things that the developer is not necessarily on the hook for. An example of that, separate from roads, which I think is the most obvious example, but parks is a big one too. Improvements to parks or expansion of parks in certain areas is related to the impact that new development has on existing infrastructure and expansion to keep a certain level of service in the city. That's something that a developer can put in their development
And so if they are doing parks on their own property and dedicating land to the city or setting that aside and developing that out as a park, then their impact fees are either waived or reduced. But if they don't have the capacity to do that, they're still having an impact on our parks. And that impact is what we're trying to capture and help pay for new parks or expansion of existing facilities.
And I may have understood where the impact fees were going. I just want to make sure the city, even if a developer puts in a park, the city has to assume it.
Right.
And that's why I'm making sure that we're not leaving ourselves shortchanged on picking up a new asset that we have to maintain and not being able to.
Yeah,
That was my question.
Ideally, the new expansion, the new growth, if there was a problem in the park or in the road or whatever, the taxes that are generated from those things would help pay for the maintenance of the roads and the tot lot.
Totally
stuff.
get it. I think.
Yeah, I don't want to beat that anyway.
To get it started off better, because we're spending money, I feel like, on that, but that's just me noticing what's going on, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do you guys have any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Sorry, you
I
okay?
don't have any.
And you told me this last time you were here.
Okay.
On these comparisons, why are we comparing Grantsville impact fees to cities that are nothing like Grantsville? Bill?
Well, I love the question. You heard me chuckle. There is no real apples to apples comparison when it comes to impact fees. Every city's different. Every city's needs are different. The way development happens in each different city is different. So comparing it to Salt Lake or Tooele or there's just no good comparison. Grantsville is as Grantsville does, and it's beautiful and wonderful, but also it's unique. And how these things apply and how they compare, it's kind of useful to see that we're not a complete outlier and charging people $1 million for a small development. But, I worked for the city of Riverdale. Riverdale does not charge impact fees. They get enough in sales tax revenue that they say, we're gonna waive it. We're gonna accomplish all of the goals in our capital facilities plan and through sales tax dollars and not charge impact fees. That's hard. That's hard because what it does is it shifts the burden of development and growth off of developers and new residents onto existing residents. And that's what impact fees are designed to do, is to help people pay their way and recognizing the impact that new development has on the existing infrastructure. So there's no really good comparison. Again, Riverdale, zero, us, somewhere in the middle, Salt Lake, maybe super expensive, or, Magna, super expensive. I don't know. It really just depends on what the city decides they want to put in their capital facilities plan. And we're even adjusting that right now. Our Sheep Lane was in there and it was super expensive. And it was making it prohibitive for businesses to come in and develop out property. And they're like, is there any way we could have another look at this? So we did, and we said, actually, let's shift away from expansion on Sheep Lane and just make it a maintenance and rejuvenation kind of a thing, rather than put more money into expanding due to growth.
I was.
May need to come back at that at some other point,
I
but
think we do.
yeah.
I'm on board with expanding Sheep Lane at some point. I thought it was a priority, but go ahead.
I'm just, one of the other thoughts I had, and that was focus on roads at first. I think one of the things I'm seeing here too, and I did look at some of the different cities, the more arid cities definitely have higher water impact fees.
Right.
And we're talking about lowering those, which is a little bit of concern. I think for future, we need to look at the Grantsville, because we're going to be more water constrained going forward. But you look at Tooele cities, their fees are quite high. They don't have the water even though we do right here. But you look at places like Eagle Mountain, where there's some of the comparables that you had on there. And I think those more arid areas are going to see higher demands for that.
Oh, and I guess, we're not lowering them. Yeah, I think, what
We're
you're
saying
probably
that they're in the
seeing
middle,
is,
but
you're
I-
probably seeing 2024 and 2025, right? That where we did lower them. And I
Right.
think that's just how, if I remember right on that one, we kind of changed based on growth and where it was going to occur, we changed like the the date of when it was either a tank or a well, but we kind of changed them around and that's what kind of decreased.
They changed that.
Yeah, that changed that one.
Sure.
These impact fees are, and you can imagine, these are probably the most regulated fee in any government ever. Most of the fees that we charge, a library fee or things, they're kind of just general practice kinds of things. No, these are studied to the nth degree. We hire firms to come in, thank you, Robert, and you do great work, to look at these things and make sure that they're equitable, that they're reasonable, and that they are directed towards the projects as the code requires. If there's any variance from any of that, we're in trouble. And the fees are tossed out and we're really, really in trouble because we don't get to pay for any of the things that we want or need. So thank you.
I like your comment. We're trying to thread the needle and there's not an apple to apple. We can just say we're the same, but we are kind of in the same ballpark is what you're saying. And I saw that from the report.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, why are we reanalyzing this when we just did it in May? Why don't we wait for a new traffic study to come out?
So the traffic study is going to suggest areas that could be improved, but the actual capital facilities plan is separate from the transportation master plan. The transportation master plan is looking way out into the future. The capital facilities plan, you can only take impact fees in for 7 years, and then you got to start giving them back.
Okay.
If you haven't used them, you got to. So it's important that we refresh and relook at these things. The main thing was, first off, that we looked at Sheep Lane and try to decide, is this something that we want to leave on our books? Or are we just going to kind of hold off for now until it's time to relook at the thing? Then the second thing is the trip generation impact fee with transportation needed a look because we were basing it off of square footage. And some of these warehouses have very low impact. Let's say like a data center, if that were to come in, there's like 10 employees at a data center, right? It's all automated, it's all, whatever. But they're in these huge warehouses. So we were basing their impact on our roads off of their square footage, not off the actual use of the land.
And you may also have they may have predominantly rail, and that's not an impact on the actual road.
Exactly. So to look at it and try to make it more equitable and understandable, we eliminate all of the different kinds of retail and commercial and industrial, and we eliminated all of those and just said, okay, developer, if you're a commercial or industrial type user, you tell us what the traffic impact is going to be long-term on the property, and then we'll base your fee off of that.
And that would be reviewed, by city staff to make sure that it makes sense and.
Yeah, I honestly don't know much about this. It would be helpful if our comparison cities or for cities that were our same size. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I know that the percentage of residential and commercial may be different in some of these cities, but and I tried to pull what their impact fees are for Centerville, West Haven, Bluffdale, South Ogden, that are right around 20,000.
And I think if I remember correctly, Sherry Broadman, when she was here, she kind of gathered some of these cities, and what she was also trying to do, but she was trying to look and say, well, what other cities charge the same impact fees as much as possible. So you may find a comparable city, but then they may only charge water and wastewater. They may not charge anything else. So
yeah, for sure.
So there's that as well.
So I hate to bring this up, but I was going through the presentation and the information, and I know that, like Jason said, you're trying to thread the needle and you're probably doing it in the dark, but I noticed that the changing of the formula for the transportation impact fee saves the Solberg's project like $200,000.
Well, and those already been before city council.
Yeah, actually, the city council voted to adjust their impact fees. So that was voted on last city council meeting a couple of weeks ago. And that was a negotiated kind of thing between the city council and the Solberg group. So that's how that happened. The hope is that in the future, we'll have less of that. That these things will be clear, understandable, and fairly applied so that, again, they're the ones that are telling us what their impact would be. A place like the Walmart distribution center is obviously going to have a much bigger impact than a similarly sized data center, right? So you tell us what the impact is, we'll base your fee off of that after reviewing and making sure that it's accurate according to industry standards.
Okay, so, what the city council did in waiving impact fees for Solberg's, is that reasonable and defendable?
I'm not going to speak to either of those things. We have our attorney in the room that will say that every decision made by the city council is 100% legitimate, right, Tyson?
That decision is defensible under the legislative authority.
The only thing that made it a little awkward is that it was done at the 1 yard line. Typically, those kinds of negotiations are handled as part of a master development agreement or other kind of thing that happens way earlier on in the process. So that's why if there was a little bit of awkwardness, it's because of the timing more than anything else. But yeah, it's perfectly within the rights of the city council to waive, adjust, whatever, those kinds of considerations. And it happens all the time. These kinds of negotiations happen all the time. Impact fees, as serious and significant as they are kind of a major bargaining chip that a city has to entice businesses to come into their area, right? So if that's one of the reasons why Riverdale does as much business as it does. If you've ever been to Riverdale, please don't go. It's awful. It's a nightmare. But
traffic alone.
Businesses love to be in Riverdale because one of the reasons is because the impact fees, they don't have them. So you can open a business without having to worry about an impact on roads or anything else. So, but yeah, in that case, the negotiation is loaded into the location, right? In our case, it would have been something that we negotiated with the developer, and it just happened at the 1 yard line, which is what the guy said, as opposed to the 99 yard line. So, but it's fine. It's really fine.
Will these changes have any increased pressure on our general fund in the future?
General fund? No, these don't touch general fund at all. These funds go into an impact fee fund.
I know we'll put pressure on the general fund because we have to use general fund money on other projects because we don't have impact fee.
If we don't have impact fees for it, then yeah, that would be a burden. If we needed to go through with a project that had to be done. Yeah, I mean, anytime you reduce impact fees, it's gonna have an impact on the plan, right? So.
Yeah. Okay.
One last recommendation. I want to reiterate what you said because I think it's a good one. If we were to look at this again, and maybe I missed what Robert was saying, but he said he was trying to pick some cities that had comparable numbers to show that we're in the
Population numbers, yeah.
But Salt Lake City is not, to me, would not be comparable to
the
way they deal with water and everything else there. And I think it'd be really beneficial if we stuck with cities that really match kind of the demographics of Grantsville as much as we can. That's the one thing I didn't like on this was seeing Salt Lake City there. To me, even though the numbers might be similar, I don't think it's a fair comparison at all to say what we're trying to look at number wise. I think smaller cities that have something comparable to us makes a lot more sense, just to show that we're in the right area.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I like your discussion on the more arid climates too. Salt Lake City proper has 218,000 people. Salt Lake Metro has 1.2 million people. It's all those little cities around Salt Lake.
Yeah, and those comparisons were added.
1.2 million people.
Yeah, those comparisons were added more for the kind of the commercial industrial component, just to see what the impact fees would look like compared to them.
Mapleton was really close to us in population, but maybe not in climate.
Well, and Mapleton too, and maybe a city like Mill Creek or even Ogden City, where these impact fees could be compared, although the Ogden is obviously bigger than what we're looking at, but no, what I'm getting at though is that they're not a real apples to apples because they're largely gonna be infill development. And they're not gonna have the large areas that need major wastewater treatment plant work or big new roads that need to be put in or things like that. So that's our challenge too. Again, there's no true apples to apples in any of this.
I get that. Salt Lake was the one I was like, this is.
Yeah,
not even in the
that's an
same
outlier
ballpark.
for
It's like
sure.
Trying to go from major league down to where we're at here in the farm league, and I want to stay in the farm league, but I don't think it's a
And
fair
that comparison was more meant for the commercial aspect.
I like being in the farm
warehouse.
league. That's good.
Yeah.
So you had up before the comparison of impact fees total with single family half acre with irrigation. Do we have a comparison like that for, say, a gas station?
And we can put that together. Yeah, we just threw in like a 5,000 square foot retail. Yeah.
Can I point out something?
Go ahead, Shelby.
As if you look at this, we have like roughly a 10-year plan, not quite 10 years. But
Yeah, it's
as-
10 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
As
enacted.
we add new items like sheep laying back on or whatnot, it's not going to stay the total is that we're requesting now. It's going to adjust it. It may go up to $1,000. It may reduce down to $200. It's dependent on the projects that we have listed. And so it's not just stuck forever and ever and ever. It's gonna change.
Right.
I do like the idea of updating it more often because it does reduce
a
the gap. You
revolving-
don't see a
Yeah.
step change. I like that.
Any more questions or discussion?
I'm good. Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Thank you.
And that's up for a vote, so.
Can I make a motion that we consider the proposed amendments to the park and transportation and capital facility plans, impact facility plans, and impact the analysis for Grantsville City?
A second?
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Roll call?
Sarah, aye.
Good.
Aye.
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Derek, nay. Move on to the next item. Approval of the minutes from the November 18th, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting. Do that one first. Does anyone have anything that they saw on that? I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from the November 18th, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the December 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting. Anyone have anything with those?
No.
No. Okay, we'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from the December 2nd, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting.
A second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to report from city staff.
Don't forget, I will send out the link again, but you all need to finish your 4 hours of training before the January meeting on the 6th. So.
Thank you.
Finish that.
Just did.
Yeah, it's required every year.
Do we have to do it again, or are we, can you, all 4 more hours, or we already?
4 more hours.
I love those.
If you went to the APA conference, I think that counts, right?
Yeah, but it's a new year.
Oh.
Sorry, it's a new year.
I know,
New
those
name.
policies
Okay.
just bite sometimes.
So, if you could start working on that, that would be great. With meeting act, I know we've all done it a few times, but that was, if you could take that one first.
Thank you.
And then, we will be posting our, meeting agenda for the year. And we'll continue Tuesday,
All right, whoever thought of that was a genius.
Just, I sat at the back because, it was kind of feeling like church. It was all crowded and everybody was all like knowing each other and high-fiving, and it was, anyway. I also have this weird thing about people looking at the back of my head. And my wife assures me that it's fine, but anyway, I have this thing. Next meeting, we'll need to discuss a chair and vice chair nomination as well. So be thinking if you are interested in assuming that illustrious position. So, and I wanted to say, Derek, thank you for your time working with the Planning Commission. It's a thankless job, honestly. You get it in the teeth, and you guys all just keep showing up, and thank you. Thanks for your service, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anything else from the staff? No? All right, we'll move to agenda item number 6, open forum for planning commissioners. I'll start over here with Chris. Got anything?
No, not that hand.
Okay, Jason?
Nothing for me.
Debbie? No. Sarah?
I just wondering why that vote from you was nay. What concerns did you have about the?
We can talk about that after.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that you know that you're heard. We appreciate you.
No,
We will miss you.
Okay. Now that's one thing that's been great. The last 3 years, it went by quick. It was fun. Got to meet a lot of smart individuals throughout everyone that came and went, and it was great. We didn't always agree, but I mean, some people gave me ideas, and I didn't think of things that way, and I hope I did the same with others. It was an awesome experience. I'm glad I got to be on the commission for 3 years, and I know they'll be in good hands with who's on here. Don't know the guy they just appointed, but so I can't say anything about him, but I'm sure he'll be great as well too. Well, he's an alternate, but someone will eventually become full-time again too. So Chris will be there tomorrow night. So
We couldn't get Trent back?
I don't know.
You have his number.
Yeah, it's not my job. Talk to Heidi. But thank you guys. Just, don't be scared to ask questions, hold people accountable, make sure the process is going in the right order. That's, the advice I can give you guys, and just, don't be scared to speak up, say something. If something doesn't look right, and speak up, talk to somebody, go to staff, go to council, mayor. Don't let those things slide by. So I had a whole thing I was going to read, but I wasn't going to, didn't want to anymore. But I did want to say too, this could affect you guys. I don't know what your guys' ambitions are going into the future, but on the planning commission thing tomorrow night, they got a thing that says if you applied to run for city council, as soon as you do, you have to resign from planning commission.
Yes, I know. That's
So
interesting.
that will be interesting tomorrow night, because there's been a lot of great people that went from planning commission to city council. You got Mike Colson, Mike Johnson. You could name a ton of people. And so it's interesting. So if you guys have an opinion or say, that's tomorrow night. So
Does that apply also for city council members who register to run for
nope.
mayoral?
Nope. Let me see if I got anything else. That's it. If you guys ever feel like you want to reach out to someone on city council, I've been here. Love to talk to you guys more. I'll come to meetings too. So don't think you guys got rid of me. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Okay, we'll go to, looks like a report from city council. We got city council right here.
Yeah, so I wasn't gonna say anything so I could sleep well tonight, but I do want to say some things quickly. One, thank you, Derek, for chairing this committee. Two, thank you all for being on planning and zoning. I've been on city council now for 2 years, and I think I'm finally sleeping at nights for most of the time. But I just wanted to say, and one of you already said this, when it comes to public comment, I've learned, I think we all have pretty thick skin, and as long as they're attacking the issues, I've come to love public comments, because things are said that I haven't even thought about usually. And so that's how I survived public comment a lot of times is just make sure you just hunker down and focus on the issues. And when it crosses over to when they attack you personally, that's unfortunate and hopefully can be minimized. But in public comment, just hunker down and focus on the issues. I think the last, and Derek kind of just said this, I think the last 5 city council meetings have been the best meetings in 2.5 years, or the 2 years I've been on the city council, with some major decisions. And why do I say that? If anybody has any questions at all they have to do is listen to those meetings. And we asked every question that could possibly be thought of, I think, between the city council. And we had access to the things that I see that are getting better is surrounding you guys with a lot of knowledge. Tyson, Bill, Shelby has now been doing this for a couple of years as well. Derek just said this, but just don't. It's taken me 2 years to kind of speak up, but don't be afraid to ask your questions, and just anything you can think of related to the issue, dig in as much as you can. And then at the end of the day, when you have to make that decision, I'll leave you with this funny thought. We had a major decision for the city council, and at Sunday dinner at my mom's, there were over 20 adults there. So I said, okay, here's the issue. And I went around and made them all vote. This is people I love, my family. Guess what the vote was? Come on, you guys can guess what the vote was.
Unanimous.
No, 10-10.
Oh,
It was 10-10. It was exactly 10-10. 10 of them were in favor of, 10 of them were opposed to, and that was my family member sitting in there. And so just it was an incredible learning experience for me, that you just gain your knowledge, you do the best you can to educate yourself, and then vote the best you can, and then go home and go to set bed. So thank you for what you're doing. There's major issues facing us every week. So I appreciate being here, and just wanted to say thanks for what you're doing. So.
Well, thank you for your service too. I know it's not easy. And I think public service is like the hardest thing ever, because you're an open book. People use your words against you sometimes, and it's unfortunate,
But you can do this, and you can, our outcomes have not been unanimous, and I totally respect everyone on the council that I serve with. I know they're doing the best they can. And so I think you guys have a great group. Just you're good. Thank you for what you're doing. Just be positive and just ask your questions, focus on the issues, and it's all you can do, right? And I've learned that it not only educates you, but it educates the public if they really want to pay attention to what's going on. So thank you. So that's enough said, right? Let's go home.
All right, well, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Quick hand.
you okay?
Quick second.